Welcome to my top 10 game-changing tips in Excel. If you want to create your dataset table to look like this with colors and arrows indicating negative and positive percent, this is how you do it. Select this cell here on the very first row and press Ctrl 1 to open up Format Cell. In here, make sure you are in Number tab, then you click on Customs. In this type text box, you open square bracket and you type the word green as in the color. Now you need an arrow up. Click on Windows Start, then after that type the word character map. Once you launch character map, this is what it's supposed to look like. Make sure you're in Arial font, and if you scroll down all the way down here, you will see a couple of arrows here that we're going to be using today. Well, first you're going to do the up arrow. Once this comes in here, you click on copy. I'm going to minimize this guy here, select in here, and then press Ctrl V to paste that arrow. Next, type 0% and semicolon. Then you open square bracket and type the color red and close square bracket. Now you need a down arrow. Launch your character map again. This time around, let's double click on down arrow. Once it's in here, click on copy, minimize this guy here, and then you press Ctrl V to paste it in here. Now you got up and down arrow. After that, you press 0% and semicolon. And once that's all entered in the custom, click on OK here to close it. Now the very first row on this cell has been applied. To apply to the rest of the rows, you just have to double click this square box like that. And all the rows will be applied with colors and symbols. Identifying duplicate data and eliminating it will help you keep your dataset clean and error-free. Like for example, you want to identify the duplicate student name. You'll highlight all the student name. Make sure you are in a Homes tab here. Conditional formatting, highlight cell rules, and duplicate values. Here, make sure you're selected as duplicate and select the color that you want, maybe green. Now you can see all the duplicate names are highlighted. But what if you want to identify and eliminate duplicate row? Like for example, this is duplicate row to this duplicate row, and this is duplicate row as well. So there's 3 of them. This row number 8 is not duplicate because the last value is different. This is how you do it. Select the data set, and after that click on data. Under data tools, click on remove duplicate, and over here I have included the header. So I'm going to put a check on to exclude my header. If you leave the check out, if there's any row that's duplicate to the top line, they will remove the header. So just be aware of it. So I'm just going to say my data has header, and I'm going to keep all the columns checked because I want all the rows. Then click OK. It will eliminate 2 records or 2 rows that were duplicate for Sophia. I'm going to click OK. Now you can see there's only one Sophia. And there's another one which is similar to this, but the last record is different. So this is a different row altogether. If you want to calculate sales tax, you say equal sales multiply that by tax rate and hit enter. But this does not work because if you were to apply the same formula to all the rows, you can see the values, the calculated values are incorrect. Reason for that is you can see that your sales tax rate is moving along with your price. We don't want that. We have to fix the sales tax. So let me do this again one more time. Say sales multiply that by tax rate. You have to make this tax rate fixed. In Excel term, we call it absolute referencing. You put your cursor on your B1 or whichever cell you want to make it fixed and press F4. Now a dollar appears. A dollar in front of B indicates that your column is fixed, and a dollar in front of 1 like that indicates that the row is fixed. If you keep pressing F4, you can actually toggle between row being fixed, this is column being fixed, and this means there's no absolute reference. So we're going to make both row and column fixed and hit enter or reference, absolute reference, and after that you apply to all the rows, and you can see that your calculations looks correct now. You can see if you press F2, your tax rate or your red cell is fixed. Now next thing to do is to calculate subtotal, which is pretty straightforward. Press alternate equal and hit enter, and then you take this and drag it all the way down to the very last row, And then to calculate the final total, again press alternate equal and press enter. And you're done. If your raw data set looks like this, where each of the column for the data set is separated by a comma, this character here, which is called a delimiter, is separated by a comma, and you would like to translate this into a nice looking Excel table where you have each column, where first column is name, brand, model, color, price, and currency. These are the simple steps you have to take. First, go to the very first row of your raw data and you press hold and press shift Ctrl down. This will select all your raw data set. Once that's done, you go to a data tab here on top, text to column. Then after that, make sure you select it as delimiter. Click on next. Then our delimiting character is comma, right? We have already established that. And you can see as soon as you select that on a preview window here, they show you what the table is going to look like. Next, click on next. After that, let's keep all our target cell as general for now. And this destination, I'm going to put it as here because this is where I want to start populating the new table to, is B2. Once that B2 comes up here, click on finish. And there you have it. You have a nice looking separated, comma separated table into a nice Excel table. If you have to add a colon at each field like this, try not to do it manually. This is laborious and sometimes there's alignment issue. There's a better way to do this. What you do is that you highlight the fields that you want to add a colon to, then you press Ctrl 1 to open up Format Cell. Make sure you're on the Numbers tab, then you click on Custom. On this Type text box, you're going to type add space asterisk space slash colon. We'll be adding colon, that's why we add a colon here. Then you click OK. Now you can see every field has a colon, but this field doesn't have a colon. But if you add a field name in here, then the colon will appear. Again, another one. You can see every time you add a field, then you will have a colon. Other than that, you will not have a colon. What if you want a dash or any other special characters other than a colon? Again, highlight the fields, Ctrl 1 to open Format Cells. All you have to do is to replace this colon with, say, dash. And there you have it. All of them have dash now. If your timesheet has a working times in this fashion here, where you start at 8 till 1700 hours or 5 p.m. This is how you calculate the hours worked. You say equal mod to indicate modulus, open parenthesis twice, then you say right, open parenthesis this cell, comma 5, close parenthesis. So this right function here actually returns 17:00. You take that minus left, open parenthesis, the same cell, comma 5, close parenthesis. So this left will return 08:00. Then after that you close parenthesis, then you say comma 1 and close parenthesis. So essentially you're taking the output of this, doing a division of 1. Once that's done, multiply that by 24 and you get 9 hours. So from 8 till 5 p.m. you have worked 9 hours. You take that and you slap it all across all the other row and they'll calculate the same formula. As you can see, this also works when your check-in hour does not have a leading zero. Like for example, if I were to remove this leading zero, there's no effect to the hours worked formula. If you have a data set with first name and last name combined together in one cell, and if you like to split those first name and last name into two different cells like this, there are two ways to get around it. The first one is to use a Ctrl E. First, type the first name manually like this and hit enter. And then go to any cell below what you just entered and press Ctrl E. what it does is that it goes ahead and uses this as a reference to get all your first name. For the last name is same thing. You type the word last name, hit enter, and go to any cell below it and press Ctrl E. And after that, it does all the same thing again. This technique also works on any names with middle name as well. For method number 2, you use formulas. To get the first name, the formula is equal, type the word left, which is your function that you're going to use. Select the name, comma, and now you're going to have to find the space between the first and the last name. You type the word find, open parenthesis, and then the delimiter between the first name and the last name is always a space, comma, followed by the name again, and you close parenthesis for the find, and then another one for the red one, and finally for the left, and hit enter. As you can see, what it does is that it isolates the first name and shows you only the first name, like that. And then for the last name, the formula is a bit convoluted. I'll leave in the description below or on the screen here. This is the formula, basically using a trim, write, substitute, and repeat to do it. And there you go. So this is your last name, and you double click on this guy to apply to all the name. And this second method also works for people with 3 names in it, like with a middle name. This one here, this one, and this one. If you have all your addresses in one single row like this, but you like to stack the address so that you can use it for shipping packages, this is how you do it. Select all your address, then you press Ctrl H to open up Find and Replace pop-up window. Make sure you're on the Replace tab here, and in Find What, we're going to replace comma with new line, and the character to new line on your keyboard would be Ctrl J. As soon as you do that, you should see a blinking pixel or a blinking dot on your Replace What text box. Once that's done, click on Replace All. I got 40 replacement done on my addresses. I'm going to click OK to close this pop-up window, and I'm going to close this Find and Replace pop-up by clicking on Close. Looks like nothing happened here, except we lost a couple of lines. To get all your lines, make sure you're in Home, click on Wrap Text twice, 1, 2, and there you have it. All your addresses are in multiple rows, and now you can use this for your shipping labeling. These are the 7 ways you can use Ctrl E in Excel, also known as Smart Fill. The first one is to concatenate different cell values together. Like for example, if you enter 1/3/1995, which is the 1 comes from here, 3 comes from here, and 995 comes from here, and go to any cell below it, and you press Ctrl and E, they'll follow the same format of concatenating column A, B, and C, and showing with a slash in between like that. The second way to use Ctrl E would be to unconcatenate a string. Let's say you have this string delimited by a comma or separated by a comma, and you type, let's say, the first word followed by a number, and then you add the color and then the price, and then you press Ctrl E here. It uses the first words before the comma, and then the Ctrl E here. You can be in any column below the first line, here and here. The third way to use would be to retrieve data from cell. Let's say for example, if you want to retrieve the first few characters before the underscore here, let's say for example this one here, and you do the same thing here, and then you press Ctrl E, they'll follow the same thing for every row under column B. The fourth way to use would be to add text to cell. Let's say for example you say hi, and you put the name Mali, which I got it from here, and then you say thanks for your, or something, and you go to any cell below that and you press Ctrl E, and it does the same thing as the name followed by all the text before and after. And the fifth way, use the Ctrl E would be to add space, brackets, and dash. Let's say, for example, if you have the cell phone number here or the phone number here, you press open parenthesis 403 close parenthesis. Let's say give it a space 455-1154. I'm just reformatting this phone number to have open and close parenthesis, space, and dash, and go to any cell below it, press Ctrl E. They follow the same format. The next way to use Ctrl E would be to reorder the name. Let's say, for example, here you have first name, space, last name. You want to put last name, comma, first name. You type Barnes, comma, space, John, like that. And you go to any cell below it and press Ctrl E. They follow the same format as the first one. It also works for names with middle name in it, like that. And the final way to use Ctrl E would be email address. Let's say, for example, Mary's email address is this. At, say, gmail.com. Now this is the email format. And now if you press Ctrl E, every other ones will have first name dot last name at gmail.com. If you have an unprintable characters on your dataset, you can easily clean that dataset using this formula: equal clean, open parenthesis, and you select this cell and close parenthesis. As you can see, all the unprintable character or the ASCII characters are gone. Then you can apply every row by double clicking this square box here. On my YouTube channel, I regularly share Excel tips and tricks every day. Make sure you subscribe to stay updated.